I talk about monitored inventory, let's take an example. If we are monitoring a data center with AIOps products. So if I wanted to see in a single place, like if my data center is having around 1,000 machines, like in OI, if I wanted to see a single place before this feature, which is not available. So we have areas like we have service analytics page where within a service, how many devices are there, we can see. We have performance analytics where which entities have metrics we can see. But overall, in a single place, like we will not be able to see entire data center inventory, which we are monitoring through AIOps. So this is the solution, or this is the single shop place where you could see all the inventory which you are monitoring through AIOps. So all the devices you can see here, and from there you can even filter out the devices based on their host name or entity name or IP address, or based on the entity is part of any service you wanted to filter based on service. Even you can filter on source if you wanted to only look for devices which are published from APM. So you can do all that stuff. And then you can even sort these inventory which is showing in UI, like based on name. We can even show the state of the entity, like what is the critical, what is the alarm which is there on the entity. Based on that, the state will be decided. So you can do a sorting on entity name and other fields as well. And apart from that, you can even perform contextual navigation. Like you come to here and you see your inventory, and if you wanted to drill down into a single machine, so where from there, like you selected a machine, and you can get into see like what are the alarms available on this machine, what are the metrics we are monitoring on this machine. You can even drill down. So whether this machine is part of how many services and what is the definition of service, you can drill down with contextual navigation, and you can even monitor whatever the capacity analytics metrics you are monitoring as well. So which I will show in my demo. So moving on to the filtering part. So if you see on top right screenshot, like you might have seen the filter conditions in Alarm Analytics or other OI pages, where you can perform all these conditions like equals, not equals, contains. And when you select multiple fields for filtering, then it will be a AND condition. When you select more than one value within the same field, in that case, it is a OR value. So what I mean by that is, like if you wanted to search an inventory or filter an inventory data based on entity name as contains in my screenshot ZV0 and IP address contains this. So both of this is a AND condition. So if I put one more entity name like starts with like any string, so then this within the entity it will be a OR condition. So across fields OR operator is not supported today. This is about filtering. Okay. So moving on to state. So as I mentioned, entity state will be calculated based on the alarms generated on that entity. So we will always take the highest severity you can consider if an entity is having major and critical alarm. So then the entity state will be critical. So the highest severity will be the state. So even you could see in the inventory page on top right on first screenshot, so different entity state like minor, critical, and normal. So whichever is green tick mark. And in my bottom screenshot, like if the entity is part of any maintenance, so there is a wrench icon you could see which indicates this entity is in maintenance. So maintenance can be through service, or you can even directly put a single entity into a maintenance. So different entity states are major, normal, critical, minor, and informational. And even we show maintenance wrench icon also if the device is part of any maintenance. So next one is contextual navigation. So when you when you hover in the last column, like on my screen, first screenshot, like type column. If I hover on type column, so you will be seeing 4 icons. Like the first one is service analytics, and the second one is alarm analytics, so which it is showing typically view alarms for as I hovered on alarm analytics. And the next one is performance analytics, and the last one is capacity analytics. So on any specific entity, as I mentioned, you can drill down to, you can navigate to any of these redirections. Like this will be under entity context. And if we observe this, like capacity analytics icon will be only shown for the devices which have any metrics available for capacity. And services as well, like if the device is part of any service, then only you could see services icon so that you can contextually navigate. So by default, you could see performance analytics and alarm analytics icons for redirection. So if you look at both the screenshots, like I got into alarm analytics. If you look at the device ZV02, the same device, and there is a alarm which is a type prediction, and the name of the entity name is ZV02. So both the entities are matched. So how we will fetch the data? So typically all the devices data will be stored in TAS, our topology store. This data already available in TAS. If you are publishing the data to any connector or through RESTmon, so all the data will come to TAS. So devoy admin UI, we initiate a REST call, and read server will talk to TAS and get the inventory data, and it renders in UI. So this is the flow. These are the three parts involved in rendering the monitored inventory page. So the data, specifically entity data, is stored in TAS, topology store. Okay. If you see, there is a new tile added, which is monitored inventory. If I get into monitored inventory, it will populate the inventory data. You could see inventory data. The first column is state and entity name. And this path to entity is typically like when we are populating the data from UIM or APM. So in UIM, typically like hub, robot, what is the domain, all that path will be there. So that path we thought of capturing. And then IP address. And this is the source. On source, so you could see a specific things like more than one source. This is a correlated entity. Like if I hover on that, CAPC and UIM. And services, this device is part of how many services, and then you could see total services. This is part of also 3 total for some of the things. If it is only one, that service name will be shown, and the type of these devices, whether it is a router, what it is a virtual machine, or what is the type of this device which is available in TAS. So these are the fields populated. So if I look at the filter fields, I can filter on entity, IP address, and even maintenance, which we discussed. If any device is under maintenance, we could see. And even I can filter based on a situation ID, which I'll cover, and then source and type. So if I wanted to do a filtering, so contains 10.0 Yeah, so it is pulling the data entities which are containing the name 10.0. So at the end, you could see how many total entities it is showing. So, and we can even scroll as well if I want the more data. And then I can add one more filter like IP address contains 17. So you could see the data entity. So this is the AND filter, and so entity starting with containing 10.0 and the IP address 10.17. So this between these two fields, it is AND condition. And you might have observed there is a arrow symbol. So this is nothing but sorting. By default, we are sorting on entity, and you can add more than one field for your sorting, like which can be done here. So sort by entity, and then I can mention, okay, after entity IP address, you just do a sorting. So you could see entity and even IP address. So there is two arrow icons. So you can do ascending or descending. If you see, my entity name started with S. So this is a descending order. This is about sorting. And the next one we will look at is contextual navigation. I'm just, okay. So if I wanted to look at capacity analytics, like I'm getting into and I am, this is under the device context, whatever I have selected, and there are metrics. So I can even drill down if there are any more metrics monitored in CPA. So if I wanted to go back and look at, just a second, it's slow. Yeah, so there is a minor alarm on this entity. If I wanted to get into, I could see the alarms on this entity. Yeah, so you could see there is a minor alarm present. If more than one as well, so it will show all the alarms whichever are available right now on this entity. And I'm going back. So if I look at the services which we looked at, so I can even get into services. This entity is part of three services. So I can even filter the services, and I can even redirect to this service also from here, or I can go with the navigation as well. So I'm in service analytics, this service is getting loaded. So this service definition is getting loaded. So I'm going back to MI and we will look at TA. So I have this one. We are into performance analytics, and if there are any metrics, so it will populate here. So this entity is pre-populated, and you could see these are the matrices I can add and look at these charts. So this is under performance analytics under device context. So I can go back and I can even look at the other one which I showed. So situation ID, I said, so we will come from directly from here. So I'm just closing this filter and getting into situations, and I'm just selecting one situation ID. So you could see there are entities in this, and we can select this situation, and there is a monitored inventory icon added. So if there are entities which are correlated, which are available, then it will show if any of the data is available. And one more thing I wanted to show is under alarms or under services. So if you drill down to any service, there is a new monitored inventory view added. So under this service, how many devices are part of this service, you can drill down from this icon. So if any entities are there, it will start populating all this data.